Hey, and welcome, Gurus, to the section conclusion of the Azure Front Door section of this course. I'm Chase, one of your Azure training architects, and we're going to use this section conclusion lesson to wrap up all of the things that we've learned throughout this section, and we're going to start off by using that case study scenario to refer to each of the things that we learned. In this, we'll review some Azure Front Door concepts, we'll review the Azure Front Door routing rules and the components that they tie in, and then review the logic in picking a load balancing solution that might guide us to picking Azure Front Door. So for our case study scenario for the Control-Alt-Suites organization, again, we're going to review Azure Front Door concepts, but what we're talking about here is reviewing those concepts such as that it is a Layer 7 load balancer, and it provides that global load balancing for things like public IPs, public DNS, and even private endpoints, and it provides us that load balancing for even multi-site hosting solutions. And then we're going to review the front door routing rules. And what we're talking about is all of those components that are tied together via those routing rules, like the front end, the back end targets, right? Those origin groups and origins, and those can be those public IPs, DNS, or private endpoints. As we saw, it could be an application gateway in our demonstration, the protocol for incoming traffic and forwarded traffic, the host we're listening for, the path we're listening for, and the health probe, and all that's tied in on that routing rule. And then we're going to review the logic behind picking a load balancing solution by asking questions: at what layer are you balancing? Is this a regional or global solution? And do we need to support multiple sites behind this solution or just a single site? So let's take a look at the case study scenarios architectural overview here. Here we have it broken into our front end endpoints, our routes, and our origin groups. So in our origin groups, let's say we have two origin groups. We have one with two application gateways and one with another application gateway, and they both are for different sites, one for pluralsight.com and one for acg.com. Now we have our front-end endpoints, as we're familiar with our Azure Front Door profiles. And as we've seen in a demo, we can create a custom domain to map to that Azure provided front door subdomain. And we can have multiple custom domain names for these domains here. And we can have our routes, and our routes can be used to use those custom domains and route that traffic to origin groups in the back end. So for example, if we were to get the Pluralsight, it would go to the first, and acg.com would go to the appropriate origin group in its back end. So that's our case study scenario. Now we'll use this to review the purpose of Azure Front Door here. As we talked about, Azure Front Door is a global Layer 7 load balancing solution that provides us that regional resiliency or regional redundancy for load balancing web solutions across multiple regions inside of the Azure cloud, and provides us the capabilities to also host multiple sites behind that Azure Front Door in the same way we would do with Application Gateway. Now, we also have multiple options for what we can host behind these Azure Front Doors. We have those public IPs, those public DNS names, and we have private endpoints. For reviewing the routing rules of Azure Front Door, the things that we need to keep in mind is that the routing rule ties everything together. Traffic comes in from our front-end endpoint, and it is evaluated by our web application firewall, if there are rules on a web application firewall, if it's even enabled on our Azure Front Door profile. And then it is evaluated by the rules engine, and these are the rule sets that are also configured on our routes. And then once it has that route, it's going to be forwarded to whatever origin in a origin group it has been designed to be forwarded to. And the route is what ties all of this together. For example, if it were to come in and the rules engine were to evaluate that it was going to a different backend target, it would send it to that origin as well. And this is all based off of that left-hand and right-hand traffic. On the left side, we have that incoming match that we're listening for. And once we figure it out and we evaluate the WAF rules in the rules engine, we'll route that data to the appropriate backend. And that pretty much sums up exactly how the routing rules work for Azure Front Door. Now, the logic behind picking this load balancing solution comes down to our Punnett square. Are we balancing traffic at layer 4, layer 7, regionally, or globally? If it's layer 4, as we've learned, Azure Load Balancer can do that for regional and global. If it's going to be layer 7 and we want regional, we can use Azure Application Gateway. And if it's going to be a layer 7 global solution, then that's going to be Azure Front Door for us. And we can use Azure Front Door in combination with services like Application Gateway to provide more robust load balancing solutions. Alright gurus, that concludes this section. Thanks so much for joining me in this section, and I look forward to seeing you in the next sections.